Hey everybody, Brandon Niles here, host of the Most Accurate Podcast, senior writer and editor over at 4for4.com. I'm going to get crazy today. Some of you may scoff, some may sneer, but all of you will bear witness to 5 bold predictions I have for this fantasy season. As a reminder, before I get into this, if you like this video, please hit that like button, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out all our excellent content. And as far as ADP is concerned, if I mentioned where someone's being drafted, I'm taking a look at the Underdog Best Ball ADP we have at 4for4.com/underdog-ADP, trying to identify players to target based on average draft position. So that's where I'm going with boldness, is based on ADP. So without further ado, here are my 5 boldest predictions for the 2022 fantasy football season. Number 1, DeAndre Swift, running back 3 in PPR format. All right, 4for4 ranks him 8th, so I'm 5 spots higher than where 4for4, home of the Most Accurate rankings, ranks him. And he's 15.6 ADP on Underdog right now. So you're getting a steal in PPR formats if you're getting him at 15.6 ADP. This is a guy who had 1,069 scrimmage yards, 62 catches, 452 yards receiving, has 108 catches through 2 seasons. He was really good last year. He was a little nicked up, and that's the downside with him, right? Is he's not really built for a full workload, but they've got Jamal Williams to take some of that off him. I think he's going to be excellent. I think the Lions are going to improve on offense. I think they're going to have more scoring opportunities, so you'll see those touchdowns go up for DeAndre Swift, and I think that he's going to continue to be one of the best pass-catching running backs in the NFL. 62 catches last year, as I mentioned, 108 catches through two seasons. I think he's going to be right back up around 100 catches this year. I think he's going to be the number 3 running back in PPR formats for an improved Detroit team with a very good offensive line. Remember, Jared Goff isn't a bad player. Just because he's not an elite quarterback doesn't mean he's bad. All right, he has been a phenomenal asset for the running back position in the past. The Rams had, obviously, Todd Gurley was a great running back in his heyday, but he caught a lot of balls with Jared Goff behind center. I think DeAndre Swift, another Georgia Bulldog, shout out to Jen Akins. DeAndre Swift, I think, has that kind of talent, has that kind of ability to be an elite pass catcher, and Jared Goff is going to be able to find him. So RB3 in PPR formats, bold prediction number 1. Number 2, Robert Tonyan back to double-digit touchdowns, all right? This may seem not too crazy, and I know he's a little hurt, right? He may start the season off a little bit hurt. He may even start on PUP, which is going to hurt things, but I think that his pace is still going to be toward double-digit touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns in 2020, and we look at what the Green Bay Packers are going to be able to do offensively and in the red zone specifically. They need to replace Devontae Adams' 26 red zone targets last season. He had 26 red zone targets per PFF, and they're going to have to figure out who they're going to throw to when they get down inside the 20. Robert Tonyan is that big-bodied receiver. He's talented. He has the trust of Aaron Rodgers. I think that we're going to see him back in the end zone over 10 times in 2022. Again, a little risky because he may start the season coming off an ACL tear from in week 8 last year. He may start the season off on the PUP list. But right now, he's the tight end 19, both in our rankings and in Underdog ADP. And he was, I think that the risk with him is built into the cost, and you're able to get him late and probably end up with a tight end 1 caliber player over the second half of the season. When you get past the elite tight ends in the league, the Mark Andrews, the Travis Kelce, you're looking at touchdowns. You're looking at the guys who score at a really, really good clip. And that's where I think Robert Tonyan's going to land. I think he's going to be in that tier 2 tight end territory, and I think he's going to be a steal at that level. Remember, he's only 28 years old. He should be in his prime for a tight end. And who knows, he might see some more looks in general with unproven talent outside. So I think there's some untapped upside as well. This is the one where I think I kind of get crazy. Bold prediction number 3. I think Devontae Smith outproduces A.J. Brown. I know it's crazy. I know Devontae's got a little bit of a groin issue. I know A.J. Brown is super talented. I get it. I'm not crapping on A.J. Brown, but he's going to a new system after 2 solid and 1 good season in Tennessee, all right? He wasn't the elite fantasy receiver in Tennessee for most of his time there. Sure, he was the wide receiver 6 in half PPR points per game back in 2020, but he was the wide receiver 24 last year when he was the only game in town. Wide receiver 24, and that's in PPR points per game. So, or in half PPR points per game, not in total points. So that doesn't factor in the 4 games he lost last year. And 2 years ago, wide receiver 26 in half PPR points per game. So I love A.J. Brown as a talent, but he's not the world-beating elite fantasy star that we all like kind of pretend that he is and that he's being drafted at. Right now, he's the 26.2 pick on Underdog right now. You get Devontae Smith 75.2 over on Underdog. That's like 4 rounds later. It's a really good value, and I think Devontae Smith is going to be better than A.J. Brown. Smith is super talented. He won the Heisman. He was the 10th pick in the draft, led the Eagles with 104 targets last year, ended up with a line of 64 catches, 916 yards, 5 touchdowns on a team that did not throw the ball. I think A.J. Brown is going to pull defensive attention away from Devontae Smith. I think that A.J. Brown isn't exactly an Iron Man, missing 4 games last year and 2 in the previous season. I think the Eagles are going to throw the ball more, and I think Devontae Smith is going to be the one that benefits more than A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is going to be good for the Eagles. Devontae Smith is going to be better for your fantasy team. Bold prediction number 4, J.K. Dobbins scores at least 12 touchdowns. Coming off an injury, but he seems like he's pretty healthy. We had a small sample size, but in 2020, his rookie year, he led the Ravens in carries inside the 5-yard line. He had 8 inside the 5-yard line, 8, and he scored 7 times on those carries per Pro Football Reference. Gus Edwards had 9 attempts inside the 5 in 2020, but he only converted 3 of them for touchdowns. Now, those numbers obviously get a little bit skewed when you go out to 10 yards. Lamar Jackson's obviously in play, but when they were goal to go, inside the 5, J.K. Dobbins was the one they preferred, and J.K. Dobbins was the one who was the most successful at it. He had 9 touchdowns in 15 games as a rookie. The Ravens offense should be back to being very solid. The offensive line should be improved from health and from the additions of Morgan Moses, who's an excellent run blocker at right tackle, and Tyler Linderbaum, who's kind of a nasty, physical run blocker, first rounder out of Ohio. I think he is going to start either at center or at guard for them. I think they're going to be good up front, and I think that they're going to run the ball with J.K. Dobbins when they get inside the 5, and that's going to translate into double-digit touchdowns. He's the 60.1 pick on Underdog, RB26 in our rankings. I think he's super valuable. People are worried about that injury, but you're getting an injury discount with J.K. Dobbins. I don't think he's going to lead the league in carries or yards or catches, but if you're looking at touchdowns and you're looking at the potential he has to score based on that, I think that he is a value at that spot. So J.K. Dobbins, double-digit touchdowns, at least 12 this season. Finally, I don't know how bold this is based on the Twitter hype he's getting, but I've been on Sky Moore for a while, and I think Sky Moore is going to be the top rookie wide receiver in fantasy, and I don't even think it's close, all right? I'm definitely buying all the hype. I was a huge Moore fan pre-draft. I looked back at my notes on him, my pre-draft notes. I said he's like a Steve Smith. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He plays like a dog. He gets a lot of separation. He's got elite hands. His speed was good. He ran a 4.41. The only cons he has is size. Like, he's not a big guy, just like Steve Smith, but he plays like somebody just told him he could never play football and he wants to make everybody wrong. Like, I love the way he plays with his hair on fire. You look at this guy, he's got the best quarterback situation in the league. He's got a tremendous amount of vacated targets. I think that gives him an edge over the other rookies. You look at some of the other rookies, Garrett Wilson goes into a situation where, you're concerned about Zach Wilson, right? Concerned about what's going to happen there. Drake London, same thing. You got quarterback issues, perhaps a terrible team. Treylon Burks, he's a little boom bust as a player in general and as a prospect. He's going into a team with Ryan Tannehill that doesn't like to throw the ball. This is a spot where Sky Moore can really, really, really step up and come above anyone else on that roster. Sure, they brought in Juju Smith-Schuster. Sure, you've got a little Marcus Valdez-Scantling. Sky Moore is the complete package. I think you can see him have a Deebo Samuel type of usage and become an elite fantasy receiver right away. He's being drafted as the 4th rookie on Underdog right now, pick 92. We have him ranked as the wide receiver 46 and the 3rd rookie receiver. I'm saying not only is he the best rookie wide receiver, I think he's at least a fantasy wide receiver 2 this year. He's versatile, talented, love Sky Moore. I'm going to love having him on my fantasy rosters, and I'm going to love rooting for him. Seems like a great kid. So those are my 5 bold predictions. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Hear us on the Most Accurate podcast every week, talking about fantasy football information that matters to you. Have a good day.